Now, let's go for those numbers. Woo! 34 RPS, okay.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Iguana Airsoft. As you saw from the intro, my gun is fully up and running again, and it's doing 34 rounds per second, something I did not even plan on achieving with it. I was hoping to get about 28, and it seems to have pretty much no feeding issues or anything like that, and it's very responsive. So that being said, let's start off with the big elephant in the room of why do I have a e-bike open while at the same time having the overhead camera in the background. And the reason for that is because my video that I took got corrupted or something. So I only have like 4 of them right now. So I figured I would fast forward those and just talk about how do you build a good AEG? How do you source the parts right? And how do you keep it on a budget? Because of course you can say, oh, let me go get a brushless motor. Let me go get some Siege Tech gears. And sure, you're going to have a fucking tank inside of a metal shell. But what you're not going to have is a full wallet. So that's what I want to talk about right now. First off, yes, I did spend a lot of money on this. This is not something you would need to buy if you're trying to be on a budget. Plenty of, as I feel like the years have gone on, plenty of just stock gearbox shells have become stronger. And when you learn to do radiusing, which is these curves, you're going to be able to definitely increase the strength. And I will make a video on how to radius a gearbox at some point, because my next build, I think I'm going to do that on. So anyways, there's also a really good video by the Airsoft Tech on how to do that. So anyways, I decided, yep, let's go big. Let's get this $110 gearbox shell, because these are pretty much indestructible. And I got a split one because I've never worked on a split one, but I always heard that they were easier to shim and do work on the lower half and then just keep them separate. And for the most part, this gearbox was not any more difficult than working on any other. And in fact, I would say in some ways it was easier to see my gear alignment and things. So no complaints there. Next up, and I got this grip. I love these. These are my go-to grip for AEG builds, are the EPGC, not just the EPG, the EPGC. This is an EPG. It's I think it's the regular 17 degree standard M4 angle. These ones are more vertical, but they're not ridiculously vertical. So I feel like there's a really good balance for that competition feeling grip. Other than that, it seems to do a good job dissipating the heat of the motor. So let's talk about the motor. In this case, once again, I was on a budget for this build, so I did not go with an ASG Infinity like I would for higher end builds that I've done. So in this case, it was really about going for what's a torquey motor that's going to perform well. And these ASG boosts do a great job for $52. Totally worth the money. Very torquey. Yes, it is only a 16 TPA motor, but you know, it seems to be very responsive, and I think it's a good balance. At some point, I might upgrade this to like a 22 TPA ASG Infinity or something. But in the meantime, this seems to do a good job and serve its purpose. Next up, we can talk about the gear set. Of course, this is going to be the 12-to-1 gears, and I'm running in it. They are by SHS. I don't know why it says Matrix. Maybe the companies are connected in some way. But regardless, cheap gears. Seemed to be pretty durable. I might have torn up my spur gear a little bit from my guesses, because that one, as you're familiar with, if you've watched the first video, the bushing on this side for the bevel gear got blown apart, and my guess is that the improper then alignment, because this was going crooked into the spur gear, probably allowed it to get torn up a bit. So whatever the case being, it doesn't seem like the damage is very serious. You hear like a little bit of clickiness, but I promise you the gearbox has been properly shimmed. The spur gear is just a little bit worn, but I don't think it's anything serious, and I don't think it's gonna go anytime soon. I love these gears. Really good for the price, and they're 12-to-1. So going next, we can talk about the cylinder. Yeah, I guess just the cylinder I bought. I just bought this because I wanted to try one of these supposedly performance-made built cylinders. These are for short length barrels, and this barrel is just short of 200 millimeters, so I bought this one. That being said, so far I don't seem to have any problems with it, and I don't know, I guess just the air outtake is designed differently for all of these, but whatever, it seems to do just fine. It forms an air seal. Now, this is an important upgrade part of the build. Apparently bought the high-speed lightened 14-tooth one. There's also a 15-tooth one. I don't remember why I went with this specific one, but I know that it's been very durable. I've used it in not only my own, but in probably 2 or 3 client builds. For the price, I just think it's hard to beat. People will, buy the fancy CNC'd aluminum pistons, but at the end of the day, as long as it has a full set of or a full rack of steel teeth, and it's not ridiculously heavy, I really just don't think the weight reduction or anything like that is going to be ever worthwhile. It's really make sure it's durable, make sure it can hold up. That being said, in this gearbox, I'm only doing 345 FPS with 0.20s, so it's also not like I've got like that heavyweight spring. I haven't cut any teeth, or as they say, short stroked any teeth. So there's just not much to really be of concern in terms of high stress. Now continuing on, this is the trigger I went with. I just always use either max models or speed model tunable triggers. They're just the best brands out there. Please do not go waste $90 on the Speed QB trigger. That is ridiculous. I can talk about that another time. Now, of course, the star of our show, the brains of our build, the Perrin V2 Hybrid MOSFET. I absolutely love these. The front wired variant I've never used, because, how many people have front wired guns. Once again, going back to this, if you do want to do a front wired build for some reason, you want this, good luck fitting a battery in there, but Perrin Hybrid still makes a front wired one for you. Anyways, the rear wired version, obviously, is what I went with, because I have a stock, even though it's got a tiny ass buffer tube. I really like these because there's nothing else you need. You simply need to install this, and you flick your little fire selector to program it. It's got 10 different programming functions on it. To me, it does enough for especially low budget build. Yeah, if I'm putting in, some fancy ass expensive motor and Siege Tech gears and a lot of really nice upgraded parts, sure, I can see going with a Titan 2 or whatever, but in my case, I need something that's going to be able to be responsive to a trigger pull and be able to have functions like active braking, potentially pre-cocking if I want to use it, and maybe even LiPo protection, because, that's always important. LiPos are motherfuckers that will explode. So, that being said, I just have no complaints about the Perrin V2. I've used it in so many different builds now, and it just always does a good job every single time. That being said, I also really just like, as I said, the fact that you don't need anything else to work with it. If you're using a gate, you need to get the special dongle to use it either with your computer or your phone. And I think even the Jeftron might need that. I don't remember, but I know that they're also more expensive regardless. So I would just always go with these, unless, it's a very high budget. Continuing on, the piston head. I just like these max piston heads. They do a good job. They got ball bearings on the other side. They got double O-rings. I swapped out the O-ring on mine to a slightly fatter one, and it forms a great air seal with that cylinder. Like, the compression is absolutely perfect. Continuing on, I used the O-ring AEG head. No complaints. The reason I went with this is just because I was using max for everything else, so, the tolerances are kind of designed to go with each other. So that was the main reason for doing it. Once again, no complaints. It works. I don't like how the rubber's gotten chewed up a little bit, but I still think for $15 you can't really go wrong with it. There might be other good ones that are good options that don't have the rubber. I can't complain too much about it. Just it irks me a little just seeing it get torn up. And finally, of course, the nozzle. I don't know why they don't make a lot of variability in the options, but either way, obviously just you get the 21.25 for an M4. As long as it's going to seal with the bucking and the hop-up, you don't really need to be too concerned with your nozzle length. In this case, it does seal with the bucking and my hop-up, which is a max hop-up, so, no complaints there. The dual O-rings, this does form a great air seal that is just pretty much unbeatable. So, this build totals out to about $280. Now, that is quite pricey, because that's really more of a mid-range level AEG. In fact, often what people would do is with the setup I have is instead you would just get a Gate Titan, or a Titan 2, and, you might get some nicer gears and couple other parts, and now suddenly you have a high-end performance AEG. So crossing the line from where I am in this build to an even higher end is not as significant as you might think, is probably one of the best ways of putting it. Now, that being said, you can easily do one of these for cheaper. Those parts that I mentioned are parts that you could slowly over time incorporate into your build. You don't need to have them all at once. My whole thing is, I would say don't jump into a set of gears until you're ready to also then get a better motor and maybe definitely a better piston and probably a better air compression system. But the air compression system is air compression. You know, that's for your FPS. It's not directly, I shouldn't say it's not directly, but it's not directly going to affect your actual RPS as much as your actual gear ratio and your motor is. And I'd say one of the best upgrades you can do to get started is just spend $40 on a torqueier motor, and you will immediately notice a difference in trigger response. Same for an ETU. If you want the tunability of the ability to customize just how sensitive your trigger is, spend that $70 on an ETU. There's so many things you can do with these builds that you can just enter into over time. And I'm going to make a video, like I said, in the future of me turning a lot of boneyard parts of mine into a super low budget airsoft build. I'll be finding the actual prices of what all they're worth and how cheap you can do it. So with that all being said, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Now let's get on to a firing test before I conclude this video. Anyways, like I said, I'm shooting .25s, just simply because that's what I have that are biodegradable, and you know, I like to protect the environment. So with that, let's get started. Put it in the semi. Ooh, I got some wind picking up. Let's see how this does. Wow, those are flying really straight. Alright, that is one mag down. I got extra BBs though. Here's another one, another 8 PM one. Woo! They're nice. With that, I'm gonna conclude this video. This shoot's really nice. Only smells slightly like burning plastic now that the motor's getting hot. And that's normal. That's normal for these ASG boosts. Don't think that you fucked up on your build. Assuming you shimmed it correctly, and assuming that your motor height is correct, it will still get hot. That is just normal for the motor. I want to put that out as a statement. Now, that all being said, thank you for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.